This is peace, power, and purpose 360.
All right. Yes. Welcome to another powerful podcast. Peace, power, and purpose 360 degrees. That's PPP 360 degrees podcast. Hi, I'm David Alexander III, and we're glad to be back in your midst again. And certainly I want to give a shout out to everyone that has liked and followed this podcast. And I ask you to continue to share it with your friends, have them tune in, because this is where we take your whole life and take it on a whole new alignment. It's about really moving forward in life and understanding there's a more constructive way how to deal with a lot of our challenges that we face. Last time we launched it talking about peace, peace that keeps you calm, the peace that keeps you healthy, the peace that keeps you healing in the right way. And a lot of times, when we're not dealing with these things properly, it's hard to move forward. We can't find peace, especially in the day and climate that we're in right now. But tonight, we want to take this to a whole nother level because we want to continue to build this platform for some healthy and awesome, insightful, and empowering conversations. So tonight, we want to talk about power, because power, comes with a lot of different definitions. And certainly, our words are powerful. And that's why I believe this is going to be the awesome platform that we can speak words that we haven't spoken to ourselves and speak to each other that are empowering in themselves. And you can find yourself thinking better, looking better, and hoping better, and seeing things happen that's going to be better for you now and in the future. So power really is the capacity to influence behavior, control events, and even at some point, control the rate in which work is done or the energy is transferred. Remember, you want to keep that in mind. Energy is something that can work for us or can work against us. So your words are powerful. Your actions you take are powerful. The relationships that you get yourself involved in are very powerful. But what does it take? What are some of the things we use when we talk about, what are some of the terms? We talk about discipline, discipleship. We talk about strength. We talk about authority. We talk about actions, But the thing about it is having a clear understanding about the use of power, the proper use of power. Our power, how we use our power needs to be in balance, because power out of balance can cause a lot of crazy things to go wrong in your life. And I really want to give a shout out to a person who is showing an awesome example of power and how to harness that power to be persistent, how to harness that power to move forward. And that is Kayla Richardson. I mean, I've watched this young lady since she was in her teenage years, and she's gone through a whole lot of challenges right here in Pensacola. But you know what? It took power. It took a lot of power that came from places that you're not just going to draw from. It took power to maintain a focus on the words that you internalize in your spirit, the things you allow to speak into your life. It takes power. And so when we start talking about power, it moves you into a lot of different arenas. You hear people ask the question, do you have the grit? Do you have the mental toughness to stay in the game? It's not enough just to have skin in the game. We can spend a lot of energy, skin in a game, and we're not playing the game fair. We're not understanding the rules that we're up against. But that's where power, that's where having that mental toughness to stick with it, to stay focused, and that's why I just want to give a shout out and some kudos to her, because she demonstrated an enormous amount of power. She's competed and tried in positions like this before, and it wasn't successful. So imagine had she given up. Imagine had she taken that as the final answer. But again, it took her striving to strengthen herself in her own ability to control herself. One of the things about it, if we don't get ourselves under control, we have no self-mastery. We can't control our thoughts and even how negative thoughts affect us, then we have no power over ourselves. There's an old proverb that said that has no control, no rule over his own spirit, no power over his own spirit. It's like a city without walls, broke down. That means you're running aimlessly, spending energy, time, money, resources, talent, and there's no focus. There's no precise direction that your life is going into. So we want to really commend her, and those of you that have been following her. She's been on a long road, and she really needs our support. And I'm asking you to really support her. Tune in, vote, continue to show her that Pensacola, and not just Pensacola, people all over this country that have come to know Keela, that she's an awesome young lady and she's worthy to be supported in this endeavor. I'm not downplaying the other candidates. I respect their talent. I respect their being in the position that they're in. But tonight, it's one of those things where you see someone that you know had to overcome sometimes what's considered to be insurmountable hills and go through some valleys that, so deep that you don't know if you can tread or doggy paddle through them. But somehow or another, she made it to the other side. And I think this is the time that if you haven't rallied behind somebody that's got some momentum going, this is a great opportunity to do it. Because you know what? The day will come. If you stay with this podcast, the day will come when somebody's going to be rallying behind you. Somebody's going to see you become who you are destined to be. And they're going to say, I know their humble beginnings. I know how they got their start. And it took them sticking with it. It took them striving for self-mastery. It took them understanding, hey, I got to work. I got to take action. I can't just sit here. I got to do something with this. And then it took the strength and the power to understand how you manage relationships, because you can't make it in this world by yourself. And that's where having healthy relationships gives you the power. The power of relationships gives you the ability to move forward, to pursue goals and be successful at it. So I really hope and trust that those of you that are listening tonight will also take that opportunity to rally behind Keela Richardson, because I believe this is also an opportunity for us to show her that Pensacola and all the surrounding areas are behind her. And despite all the things that have happened, what you might call failures, there were setbacks, there were delays, but they weren't denied. But under pressure, she persevered, and she developed through the consistency of daily habits that were good for her. And of course, the bad habits, you got to fight them. How can we can sabotage ourselves? We can actually talk ourselves out of a good dream, And sometimes I watch people. I mean, I have a background in HR management. I've seen people that you knew the talent they had. You look at their resume. You look at their experience on the job. You know what they come to the table with, but there was just a little bit, maybe a grain, enough to mess your eyesight up, to irritate your eyes. There was just a grain of doubt in there that they walked in, and they gave that grain of doubt the power to rule their whole interview, to rule their whole being when they went in to present themselves as a worthy candidate. So these are issues that people deal with every day as they're trying to climb up that corporate ladder, as they're just trying to set their lives in a new direction. They're trying to achieve goals that they have set for themselves. Sometimes they put their goals on hold to pursue other things or to attend to other responsibilities, take care of sick loved ones, to take care of your children, raise your children, take care of your household. And you put your goals and your dreams on hold. Now you're trying to pick them back up. And guess what? You're working against that negative power, that negative energy that tries to defeat you in your efforts. But I'm telling you, I'm running into people every day that's got goals that they're trying to pursue. And you know what? I want to do everything in my power to influence them, to stick with it, to be persistent, to be consistent, taking those steps that take you outside of your comfort zone. Do you know if you are comfortable, that means you're not growing? And if you're not growing, then you're not going in the direction that you're dreaming of. You can't stay still. Life is progression. It's about shifting. It's about moving. It's about staying in the realm of power and maintaining your peace while you do it. Sometimes we don't understand. When you become at peace with who you are and what you have going on in your life, you know what? You can strategically harness power even in the midst of silence. You don't have to tell everybody what you're going through. But what you got to do is surround yourself with people who's going to pour into you the right information that's going to empower you. And yes, there are some things you got to trust beyond yourself. That's why we cannot make it in this world without believing there's a higher power than us. There's a greater power that we got to tap into. But again, it goes back to your thinking. If you can't find time to be at peace so you can think clearly, then you're not going to be able to harness the power it takes to move your life forward. You're not going to be able to step in the right direction. You're not going to be able to move outside of your comfort zone. And that's why I said this particular podcast is about self-mastery. It's about taking action steps in the right direction. It's about connecting with people who can sharpen you. You can sharpen them. Drop them golden nuggets in your teacup. You can sip on that day in and day out. And every now and then you got to go back and play it over again. You know what I started doing? I started using the I am statements. We're going to get into that. I am statements are powerful because you become what you say you are. And if you keep saying to yourself, because self-talk is powerful, if you say I'm sorry, you're going to think sorry. You're going to do sorry things, and you're going to get the results that sorry people get. I'm sorry. Okay, apologize. Move on. Don't live in your sorrow. You're not dreaming these dreams. You don't have these ambitions for nothing. But you got to shake yourself loose. And that's where it's about harnessing that power that moves you to act. Stand around people who are going to help you move forward in life. That's what it's all about. That's what this podcast is all about. So we want to encourage you. You can be mentally tough. Being mentally tough is not just about you saying the right things. It's about being consistent. The ability to be consistent and focused and confident that you can handle the stressful situation. You can overcome the obstacles that are setting before you and achieve these goals. It's about developing the skills that are characteristic of being resilient. How did you make it through the last thing you went through? What are some takeaways? Who did you run to? Watch who you listen to. Your friends are powerful. Your friends can sow into your spirit negativity. You know what? Even when I'm in church, if I'm sitting by a negative person, man, I don't want them vibes on me. I'll move. I get with somebody that's going to say, yeah, hey, we can do this. It's the same in your workplace. If you're in a workplace, in a workspace, next to somebody that's negative, you're not going to be as productive because that negative energy draws whatever positive energy you had. Vibes can be negative, can be positive. Power can be negative, and it can be positive. You need to be resilient. You need to understand, how did I make it through the last situation? Did it build my confidence? If not, why not? If you were successful, how were you successful? How did you make it? Go back and study that. If your friends were successful, ask them, how'd you do that? I know you was nervous. I remember one young lady, and I'm so proud of her. She was taking a test, and she was overwhelmed with nervousness and anxiety. And she said, I remember what you said. You told me no matter how nervous I got, to stay the course because you knew I could do it, and I knew I could do it. I knew I studied that material. And she told me she did. And she did. I knew she knew that material. But I also knew she had to overcome the anxiety level that was going to come at her like crazy. So she had an anxiety attack to the point she got nauseated. And I'll tell y'all, she was taking a Class C chauffeur's driver's test. And man, I'm going to tell you something. She got so nervous, she had to name all of the parts under a bus. She got so nervous that she began to get nauseated. She threw up all over the place. She messed up her clothes. But you know what? She missed only one part. And it's because it was during the time she had to reset and refocus. But she got a 95% that she only missed one part on that test. And she was so excited. You know what? It built her confidence. Then she began to maintain her belief system, and she got control over the anxiety. And you know, she became committed to, hey, I got the written test to take. And she became optimistic. Why? Because that mental toughness had built in just that one situation. And let me tell you something. It moved for me to greater things. She went on and got her GED. She went on to start enrolling college classes. She not only got a job, she was just trying to get a job with the school district. She got a job in a professional transportation system, public transportation system. And it was awesome. Her testimony was awesome. How she finished her course was awesome. But it started with developing the mental toughness needed to overcome the stress and anxiety, to overcome the obstacles, to achieve your goals. And you know what? She didn't stop there. She started setting one goal after the other. She started reconciling relationships. She started building her network to where she was at a level of peace that she had never been before. And what I'm saying is, you can do the same thing. But you know what you're going to have to do? You have to stay with us. We're on a journey. And it's all about harnessing real power so we can begin to move in our purpose. You know what? When you understand the power that rests in you and the fact that you can speak power unto yourself, until you believe it for yourself, and all of a sudden you're not as helpless as you thought you were. That's why every day I repeat these affirmations to myself. They're my I am statements. I am. I am. I am. You know what? I am wealthy. I don't let the world define what that wealth is. I am an abundance. I don't let the world define what that abundance is. I am of certainty itself. I don't let the world define what certainty is, because my strength is in my self-mastery. And that's why I strive to continue to master more of myself. My strength is in the actions I take every single day. So I make sure my actions are purpose-driven. My strength is in my relationships. Man, if you're not trying to go anywhere, I ain't got time to wait with you. I'm moving. I'm moving at the speed of sound. I'm moving at the flashing of a light. And you know what? I got goals that I want to achieve in this lifetime. And they are smart goals. They're achievable. And I like to be around people that's trying to go somewhere with their life. Because you know what? We can help each other. We can drop different nuggets in each other's life. And you know what? Life moves on. It's about hydrating yourself with the right energy-giving substance that not only are you going to get to help, but you're going to be able to help somebody else along the way. That's why I drink good water. You got to have it. Pure water, filtered water, it's okay, but it takes away from you more than it gives to you. I drink high alkaline water. It gives my body back what it needs desperately, and that's natural, God-given minerals. So I challenge you today, hydrate yourself spiritually, hydrate your mind with the right thoughts, hydrate your body with a quality water. Because you know what? You become what you consume, mind, body, and spirit. And it all gives light to your power, whether that's positive power or negative power. Come on, stay with me. Peace, power, and purpose. 360 degrees. Peace out.
This is peace, power, and purpose 360.